Software engineering teams are deploying the most sophisticated tools in history. We have advanced tech stacks, CI/CD pipelines, and AI-assisted coding companions. Yet, across the industry, feature velocity is dropping. When deployments stall, the immediate instinct is to blame technical debt. Engineers spend weeks obsessing over suboptimal code architecture, planning massive refactoring sprints to clean up legacy databases and tangled logic. But there is a quieter, much heavier anchor dragging down operations. It is process debt. These are the bloated standard operating procedures, the redundant manual approval chains, and the monolithic documentation that dictate how work actually gets done. The distinction is critical. Technical debt disrupts your systems. Process debt disrupts your people. On the left, a clean CI/CD pipeline pushes code in seconds. On the right, a single deployment ticket navigates a maze of human approval nodes, daily stand-ups, and security sign-offs. Data shows that developers lose up to 30% of their working capacity to this exact administrative friction. They aren't bottlenecked by the compiler, they are bottlenecked by the workflow. Refactoring your codebase and upgrading your infrastructure yields zero net gain if the operational framework dictating how humans interact with that code is suffocating the team. Traditional project management is built entirely on analogy. Organizations adopt specific agile rituals or deployment checklists simply because another successful company uses them, treating them as an unquestioned industry standard. To strip away organizational bloat, we must abandon analogy and apply first principles thinking. In the context of the software development lifecycle, this means deconstructing your workflows down to their absolute atomic constraints. The raw materials of software engineering are finite developer time, compute resources, and information accuracy. Every single step in a deployment process, every mandatory code review, every QA sign-off, must rigorously justify its consumption of those raw materials. To scale effectively, engineering teams must stop copying legacy methodologies. We have to engineer our standard operating procedures from absolute scratch, basing them strictly on physical and logical truths. The operational mechanism for dismantling this process debt is a 5-step subtractive algorithm, originally codified by Elon Musk for physical manufacturing. Step 1. Question every requirement. Every rule, checkpoint, and sign-off must have a specific human name attached to it. You cannot accept a requirement from a vague department like security or legal. It must belong to a specific person so it can be interrogated. This requires overcoming convergent logic. Requirements handed down by highly intelligent people are the most dangerous because colleagues rarely question them. Every requirement must be treated as suspect. Step 2. Ruthless deletion. The baseline assumption must be that the best part is no part, and the best process is no process at all. During the Tesla Model 3 production ramp-up, engineers spent months struggling to optimize an automated robot installing a fiberglass mat over the battery. When Musk finally forced the teams to trace the requirement, they discovered the noise reduction team thought it was for fire safety, and the fire safety team thought it was for noise reduction. Neither actually required it. The direct software equivalent is spending 2 sprints optimizing a manual QA sign-off form and its routing logic, when an automated regression testing suite already renders that exact sign-off obsolete. The most common error of a smart engineer is optimizing a process that should simply not exist. Step 3 is simplify and optimize. Once a deployment process is stripped down to the studs, a new problem emerges. How do we document this lean workflow without instantly generating new process debt? The Diátaxis framework maps technical content across action versus cognition and learning versus applying. Tutorials provide instructor-led onboarding. How-to guides offer steps for real-world execution. Reference materials are factual data for rapid lookup. Explanations provide context behind the system's design. By enforcing strict mutual exclusivity between these 4 quadrants, engineering teams permanently eliminate the monolithic, unreadable manuals that breed process debt in the first place. Step 4 is accelerate cycle time. The pursuit of speed is only permitted after requirements are questioned, useless steps are deleted, and documentation is simplified through the Diátaxis framework. Accelerating a broken or bloated process just burns compute and human resources faster. If you are digging your own grave, Do not dig at a higher velocity. Step 5 is automate. This is the absolute final step, reserved strictly for the highly optimized residual life cycle of the software. Automation is not a cure-all for organizational inefficiency. It is a scaling mechanism. Automating an unoptimized deployment pipeline doesn't fix it. It simply executes your organizational process debt at machine speed. To connect the Diátaxis architecture directly to daily execution, teams must adopt the docs as code methodology. Optimized documentation must live in the Git repository, right alongside the codebase. By utilizing Markdown and CI/CD pipelines, documentation is version-controlled, tested, and deployed with the software, preventing information drift. This reframes the entire concept of standard operating procedures. They are no longer static compliance PDFs stored in a forgotten wiki. True operational velocity requires treating human workflows and documentation with the exact same algorithmic rigor as your microservices. Audit your own organization's deployment pipeline immediately after this video ends. Isolate a single manual approval step, trace it back to a specific human name, and interrogate whether fundamental logic actually justifies its existence. If that step cannot be justified by immutable physical or logical constraints, delete it. Engineering excellence is not achieved when there is nothing left to add. It is achieved when there is nothing left to take away.